Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Febles. CJ is doing some amazing work, so I'm excited to have him on to share a story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. The Unlock Wellness podcast is now on patreon.com. Patreon is an amazing site that allows you to support your favorite podcasts. So whether it's $1 per month or 10 or 20, it's an amazing way to help support the Unlock Wellness podcast. If you're unable to support at this time, I still love you. The podcast will always be free, but the podcast has grown a lot, and using Patreon will help me slowly improve recording equipment so I can get you guys the best sound quality possible, as well as it's going to help me decrease the need for sponsored ads in the episode. I'm definitely not against sponsorships by any means, but I respect your time as listeners and don't want to overload the podcast with a bunch of ads. So if you do want to support using Patreon, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/Dr. Casey Johnson. There's even fun incentives for supporting, like shirts and stickers, so be sure to check it out. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drcaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, also be sure to check out the Shop tab where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with CJ Febles. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with my friend CJ Febles, and CJ is better known by Via CJ. He's an extremely talented rapper and creator, and this is going to be a cool episode because CJ is in the beginning stages of transforming his health, and I'm just excited to talk to him about how it's going and just how it's affecting his creative process. So CJ, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm extremely excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know you're making some really awesome progressions. But before we jump into how you're doing right now, let's take it back a little bit and just talk about what your health and wellness looked like at a younger age.
For sure. So early on, I've always been like childhood obesity type stuff. I've always dealt with like being overweight. I can remember being like 7 years old in second grade, and I would be like talking to my little friends and be like, how much do you weigh? They'd be like 90, 70, like some kids would be like 60 pounds. They'd be like, damn, I weigh 160. I'm like second, third grade.
Wow. And that stuff, it has to stick with you. People probably like don't even think about that now, but that stuck with you, right?
Not even on an emotional standpoint to the point where I'm hurt by it, but it's definitely pretty like, okay, there was something going down that I was definitely a red flag. I was like, all right, something's wrong. And just growing up, I've always played baseball my whole life, and I started to even out. Like I was always super, super round until, like I was maybe like 11 or 12. And that's when I started to like even out, when I started to like, hit the puberty thing and like even out a little bit, but I was still super overweight. It was when I was playing baseball my whole life, and I was always one of the better players in like the area, and I had like some college attention and stuff like that. But in order to do that, I had to work really, really hard, harder than most to do everything just because of the extra weight. And that was that. And then when I was like 12 or 13 or maybe even 14 years old, I'm currently 20. So, and I'm still not even, anywhere close to where I really want and need to be. But being younger, I got a nutritionist for the first time. Well, I had two nutritionists. One when I was like 8 years old, that didn't work out for some reason. But I grew up and I was like, all right, I'm 14. I really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to lose weight. I want to it wasn't working at the house. Like we weren't able to freestyle it. I was like, I need a structured program. So it wasn't vegan or anything, but I found this nutritionist, this local nutritionist, and I did the program, worked out and everything. And I ended up dropping like 28 pounds or 30. I got down to like 228 or something like that from 260. So maybe a little more than 20 pounds. But
how old were you then?
I was about 14.
Yeah. I mean, that takes a lot of, most people that age aren't thinking that way. Like they don't want to be on a structured diet. That's cool obviously, like I know your work ethic. So like that makes sense to me where you would be like that at an early age, but like that says a lot about you that you wanted that kind of structure at a younger age to get better.
It was the sports it was the pain from being overweight, whether it was emotional or physical, that drove me. Sports drove me. And then I was at that age where like I wanted to like start like experiencing like, okay, like I want to see what it's like to have a girlfriend or like meet girls or whatever. So I wasn't in a position where it's like, man, I better tighten up really quick because I wanted to enjoy my youth in that sense.
Right. But, were you somebody that got sick a lot or not really?
My immune system was weaker than most. I definitely can tell. I didn't get sick a lot, but I got sick more than I should have. So yeah, I got sick a lot of ear infections, a lot of just skin problems my whole life. Candida type stuff, like all your typical, like to extent of any research, like all the flagship symptoms of just like your body's not right, I would definitely deal with a lot of them.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you were talking about how you started working with that nutritionist. You were 14. It didn't work out. Like, what happened with that? Was it just like not the right kind of guidance, or you just weren't ready for it at that time?
I guess it was a consistency thing. I started off like anybody starts off super driven, super like ready. I'd made a lot of progress, and I couldn't tell you what happened, whether it was like the situation I was growing up in. I had a lot of emotional distractions in my household between like, parent stuff going on and being in a stressful environment. In that sense, like you got your parents fighting and that's like weighing down on me. And I had a lot of like things outside of necessarily health that would derail my health. And it was like at such a young age, I was like, man, it was almost like addiction, and like it's still super hard to deal with. I'm not even there yet, but yeah. What was the question again? I got a little off topic.
Oh no, it was good. I was just asking if what you thought the reason was that the coaching didn't last. If it was just not the right kind of advice, or just consistency kind of thing.
It just it was a consistency thing, and it just like fizzled out, and like I got distracted. I guess I got distracted.
Did you realize like at a young age how much like the emotional stuff can play a role in that too? Because I know I follow your stuff right now, and I see that you're very in tune with that, like very into the meditation and the mindset aspect. Did you realize at that young of an age like the role that those kind of things can play on your health as well, and can play on your weight even?
Oh yeah. I was like in severe depression from ages like, it was super weird. I remember specifically, it was the last day of 5th grade and I was super overweight, and I was fine my whole life, but the last day of 5th grade, and I was just like feeling super unhealthy and down and just like out. So that was the first time depression like sunk in. And then I literally dealt with it until my senior year of high school, on and off, but like mostly on. And it was like, it was not only like a wake up call, but it was more of like a long-term stress. It was definitely from the weight. It was definitely from what I was eating. It was definitely because I wasn't taking care of like my nutrition and like my choices in life in general. And it was just pure recklessness, like out of a state of just, it's very similar to Charlie, man. Very similar to Charlie, except I didn't get like Charlie Jobley. Like, I'm going to bring him up because he's such an inspiration, and literally is the same. I was super good at everything else, like super good people person. Everybody loved me. but behind the scenes, it was just binge eating, and it was dealing with emotional stress. So
Yeah, and plus, CJ, the effects that type of mindset and thinking, especially at a young age, I can't imagine like a fifth grader going through that. Like that, just it's just crazy.
especially with the baseball, seeing, because like I'm on teams with athletes that are now like in Division 1 schools, like D2 schools. So, and I was always good. I was always a power hitter. Like I kind of used the weight to my advantage because I was like a great first baseman. I was agile. I could actually, people would be like, yeah, dude, you're pretty quick for a big guy, because like I could run. But at the same time, it just wasn't healthy. And being around people that I was inspired by 24/7 just hammered me down, hammered me down. And I was in my best shape at like 16 when I finally, like, it wasn't even because I finally got it together. It was just because I was trying for so long. Like, it's one thing to like try and make great progress. It's another thing to just try and make whatever progress happens. So when I was like 16, I was very unstructured trying for a long time. I had a personal trainer, Roberto Mena from Over the Top Athletes. He's super dope, owns that gym in Connecticut. And he played pro baseball. I trained with him from like 12 to 16. And these were like legit workouts where like, it wasn't like your typical Planet Fitness type stuff. It was like private gym working out alongside like
specific, like so your sport.
Yeah, specific sport workouts with guys who are super good. And like I would see, I would be challenged 24/7, but that taught me that I could never outrun or out exercise my poor choices off the field or in the kitchen.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, that's really cool that you had that kind of circle to continue to make you better. Cause that's what it's all about, is surrounding yourself with people who have what you want, so you can learn and like feed off their energy. And really that's I mean, the biggest takeaway you probably could ever have. And that's awesome that you had that. So, I mean, you started progressing at 16 because you're just working so hard, but like you said, like you can't outwork what you're putting in your body and those kind of things. So where did it go from there?
From there, it kind of fizzled out again. Like I had it going like at 14, fizzled out. 16, like I had that momentum again, started getting that progress, and I fizzled out. And it's like, now, I'm still going through that cycle, and I'm like, and I'm not on this podcast. I'm not here to be like, yeah, I did it. I did this or whatever. I'm super early on. And from here on out, it's like right now I'm kind of in the same boat because, again, a bunch of other things that are distracting me. It's just pure distractions. And my purpose on this podcast, whatever I feel I could bring to the table from being someone who's currently struggling, is like, I tell myself over and over and over again, it's a cycle. It's super cyclic. And I just have faith that I'm going to be where I need to be, because I'm a very habitual person. And like, I'm trying to just get my habits right, like from the small things. Cause I believe how you do the little things is how you do anything.
100%.
So I'm really working on that. I'm super young. I just turned 20. I like, my teenage years are officially gone. And I'm definitely,
it only gets better. It only gets better. Don't listen to the opposite. It only gets better. No, I mean, 100%. Like how you do something, the little things is how you're going to do the big things. And I love that you brought up Charlie Jabaley, and like CJ was saying, he was a past guest, had an incredible story, but like, CJ, I love how you put that, you put that, you've been on those cycles, and it's hard when you're on those cycles, but you're still able to break that cycle. So many people that I've talked to, there's more than I could even bring up, but yeah, like Charlie Jabaley or like Josh Lajani, like those kind of people, they went on cycles. They would lose 80 pounds, gain more back. And like, it was a cycle, just like lose, gain. And at some point they probably told themselves this is the last time. And then they did it again, but then they just started making decisions, and then that cycle just broke. And it is doable. Like, just because you've had those kind of cycles doesn't mean that's how it has to continue. And I know that's probably easier said than done, but when you talk to people over and over again that's done it, it's just like, you just have to decide and just go all in and go for it. And it's like, I've seen it happen so many times. It's just amazing when people reach that point.
That's to me, losing weight and transforming your fitness. Like, I feel like there's no greater task sometimes I really feel like that. Like at times, like I respect somebody so much who has the gumption and consistency and discipline. Like when you look at, somebody who has a work of art physique, and it's like you only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see all the effort, and I really respect that. So
yeah, it's easy to like for people to hate on those people, right? But it's like, you didn't see all the work they put in. Like, good for them. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, for real. And hate only comes from a place of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Casey, Doctor. I don't know what I call you, Dr. Casey, Doctor.
Hey, Casey's fine.
Professor, Doctor. No, I'm just kidding.
I like Professor. You can still no Casey's.
No, but Casey, the way I almost, because I believe that when you meet people, you self-reflect onto them, and that's how you interpret who they are and whatnot. So my self-reflection, my interpretation of you as an energy source is like, you're almost like this energy that's like looking over me in the sense of like via online, like consulting. Like you're like my personal, like you definitely give me inspiration. It's almost like this mom type inspiration where it's like,
that.
Yeah. So, and just being, from the side of the music and everything, I really appreciate, all your support on that end as well. So
that means a lot. It really does mean a lot. And I know you're going to get to where you need to be. And I'm excited to watch that process for you. And I love how you just mentioned that, because I was listening to something, it was the other day, but it's really cool. And it's something to really think about, but it was just how you kind of said it too, is the emotions that you have that's the filter for like your life. Right. So like if you're in a bad place or in a good place, that's going to affect how you view the world. And an easier way to think about that, it's like, let's say you're having a really off day. Like the morning sucked. Like, you spilt everything. Yeah. Like, it's just bad. Right. So the rest of your day, you're kind of not purposely, you're looking for kind of those bad things. Like you're not appreciating the good things that are there. You're not like, singing in your car, like all of those things like make a difference. Or opposite end of the spectrum, you wake up, you start it with gratitude. You really focus in on like what you're grateful for, and you're like the happiness and like all of that. Then like the rest of your day, you look for that, and just magically those things happen, and like it's a good day. But really, it's not magic. It's just like you're setting up your day for success, because like you're changing the filter on how you're viewing your life. And I just thought it was really cool when I just heard how this guy said it, because it's very true. And it's just like, and I know you do a very good job of having that gratitude. And so I'd like to hear like your things that you like to do that help you with that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Gratitude is like the thing. I feel like it's impossible to be super stressed and grateful at the same time. So I try to work on my gratefulness, and then one concept that I'm really trying to currently work on, and anybody who's listening, who's in my shoes, who's like, you're overweight, the right thing to do, it's just a matter of executing. What I'm working on is, if the car breaks down, why smash the windows? Like if the car breaks down, don't go and pop your tires and smash the windows too. Meaning like, if I mess up or if I get off track, don't count the rest of the day out. And that's what I'm really, really struggling with, and coming from a place of like honesty is like, if I have something that happens to me at say 4:30 stress wise, like I'm not going to go ahead and just give up on my eating for the rest of the day. Or if I make a poor eating choice, I'm not going to make 10 more poor eating choices because, the clock resets tomorrow. Like, no, like time is just measurement, and life is just continuous now. So I'm trying to drill those down on myself, and even being on this podcast reminds me of these things I'm working on, because it's not every day that like two great energies are just out here just chopping it up on something like this. Because I know a lot of people encounter people who are not like-minded, and I'm very fortunate to work in a digital marketing agency where we are all very like-minded on the health topic. But my environment at home isn't one that really supports what I'm trying to do, and that's actually the biggest problem right now. So
and that's a big one, CJ. A lot of people see that kind of struggle, and I think that's where social media has a bad rap for a lot of things. But social media is one of the best ways that you can kind of overcome not having that kind of support if you don't have the support at home, or maybe you're younger and it's harder for you to make those decisions because your parents make those decisions for you, or you know what I mean. So like it's cool when you have social media now, because you can find people who you look up to and follow them, or find communities online that support what you're trying to do. So I mean, social media is such a strong tool that can really help specifically with that issue. And like, I mean, I've made so many amazing contacts on, just online, that I've got to meet in person, and now we're like actual friends, and like, so it's such an important tool to have.
Absolutely. It's so important, and that's because what we do is we live vicariously through other people. And, I love, yeah, everything you just said, double down, triple down. I love it.
Yeah. So I mean, for you, CJ, as you keep, trying to get over that hurdle, like that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give you for that. It's just to stay connected with those people online. And that's, I mean, basically going to become your circle, just like you had in baseball. It's like, yeah, you can't have those people directly maybe, but you can have them in that space, and it does make a huge difference.
It's so true. And I'll get super personal on the podcast to bring some value to anyone listening. I'm a big believer, I love God, and I love energy. I don't know if God is man, woman, all these different things. I don't define, but I love the godly energy that exists regardless of how it's labeled. And I feel that I've been delivered so many chances to do the right thing regarding my body, whether it's like, CJ, you've been placed in a great baseball environment, go thrive there. Or CJ, you've just been placed in the best environment in Florida to like do your thing. Like, look at your life right now. Like, I'm very grateful, and, not treating my body right while having such amazing life circumstances and amazing quality of life, but I'm still not taking care of my body. I personally feel like I am abusing my blessings outside of that. And if that makes sense, like I'm abusing everything. Like somebody who comes from nothing, and they're like, man, if I were you, I would be working so much harder than you. Like, and I'm definitely abusing my blessings to the point where it's like, this good health is not forever. And, and these great circumstances are not forever. Your girlfriend is not forever if you don't take care of that. Like your family relationships, like business is not forever. Like I want to walk into a room and be able to have presence and be taken very seriously. But, it's hard to give a presentation on why somebody should give you $100,000 if you have like, you can't, you're not in shape. It's like, what does this guy have to offer if he's not even in shape? How does he take care of his clients?
No, that's, that's an incredible awareness that you have, because like, like you said, like if you realize that you have been given a lot of really great opportunities, and obviously some of them probably haven't happened because that wasn't what was meant for your own path, but like,
right.
But the success you're having right now, it's like maybe what, like you said, like maybe it's just like this sign that like God's trying to give you to like, you take your health to the next level. Then after you take care of that, then the music can blow up, because you're at the point that you need to be to deliver on that. Because if you blew, like, CJ, if your last song blew up, you wouldn't have as much time to focus on your health.
For sure.
Then you don't have it, and then it's not sustainable long term, and you don't reach the levels that you want it to be at. So it's just like everything's such a process, and you're, like just for real, super talented, and I really believe that you are on 100% on the right track. So yeah. So, have you thought about it in that aspect? I'm sure you have, but.
Yeah, I have. And I believe, I sense that you're huge on energy too. I believe, like, do you meditate?
I do, but not as regular as I need to be. It's something I'm trying to improve on it.
Yeah. So yeah,
big into energy
in general, like,
yep.
For the fact that you believe in it, and I believe in it like 100% because just of my, true experiences through energy and everything. It's so crazy how ever since, and I'll let everybody in on this, Dr. Casey actually challenged me to the 30-day vegan challenge. I tried it like 5 times. I couldn't get past like day 5. I was super struggling. I still haven't done it, but ever since she challenged me, and yeah, when you challenge me, all these other vegan things like just dropped into my life. It was so crazy. So you challenged me and this is like law of attraction type stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, you challenged me, and then all of a sudden, a woman knocks on her door at the agency. She's like, "Hi, I'm Amuna. I want to do, vegan lunches for you at the office every day." Da, da, da. Like that happened out of nowhere, like within a week of you challenging me. All these crazy energetic things. So yeah, I am on the right path. The universe is perfect. Everything is where it needs to be, including me. Maybe me being overweight. Maybe I just haven't had my scare yet. As sad as that is, like, maybe I haven't had that scare that's needed. Like,
right. Hopefully that doesn't happen, right?
But, right. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Right. Yeah, that sounded crazy, but like.
No, but I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, and the fact, CJ, and but what I love about your story and what you're doing is the fact that yes, you are young. Yes, you're only 20, which gives you a major advantage because you're thinking about it now instead of like when you're 45. That's a huge advantage. So I know you're making the right steps, and that's very interesting about like what you were saying about how you started attracting those kind of things. Because that's what it's like, it was funny. Somebody said this once, and it's very true. It's like, if maybe you got a new car or something, right? And you got a new car, it's, it's black, it's whatever, right? And you've never noticed this before, but then all of a sudden you see this car everywhere. You notice when somebody has the exact same car as you see it everywhere. And that didn't happen before, but it's because it's now you're more aware of it. So you see it everywhere. And that's why it's so important to like really reflect on like where you're trying to go every day and like write those things down, because those things really do. It might be in the back of your mind, but it affects like the decisions you make. It affects the kind of people that you reach out to, like the energy you give people, because like, in the back of your mind, like that's what you want. And all of those things work. Like you were just talking about how, you've tried that challenge a few times, which is amazing. And I'm super proud of you for that. But like when you start to write things down, that even things that are crazy, like when you go back and you're like, oh man, those things really happened. I can't tell you some of like the crazy things that I've written down this past year that I look at and now they've happened, and you kind of forget about them. And I'm like, oh gosh, like that's crazy. I would have never, like, stuff that shouldn't have happened that happened. And the fact that I have them written down, like it blows my mind. Like people I've been able to connect with that really I had no business connecting with, like it's just like, it's very cool. It's so cool.
Wow. That's relatable that you said that, because immediately I had a session. I haven't done this but last year when I, dropped weapons, I think I dropped it like early 17, like that. And, 16, early 17, I was like, all right, let me write this list down of goals I want to accomplish. And one of them was like, oh, I want a YouTube channel with like 1,000 subscribers. And next year happened, and now it's at like 13 something. So I did it, and it's like, whoa, I would have never expected that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Because it gets you thinking about it every day.
Right.
And yeah, Casey, I just want to personally say, like, your energy and your podcast and your presence as a whole, you're doing the world a great service. And I just want to, right on your podcast, or anyone listening, this woman is killing it as far as just like bringing the positive energy and pouring in. Like, yeah, just the amount of times you've poured into me alone gives me, that might be the one tap on my trajectory that puts me, light years ahead of where I would have been if I hadn't ran into you online. So
man, that really means a lot. It really means a lot. And, I'm excited for you, and I know you got it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And and CJ's very, very talented. And, CJ, we didn't really talk about how music came into play for you, because you were an athlete, you played baseball. Did you ever consider yourself a creative person growing up, or how did that even happen?
Yeah. So my whole life I've been super creative. My mom was in a band when she was younger. Awesome. She used to get paid for like little gigs or whatever, but
was she a singer?
Yeah, she was like the lead singer of like a local band back in her day.
That's cool. Is she ever going to be like a feature on your songs?
Maybe one day. That would be so sick.
If Mama CJ's listening, I got you.
I'm so going to do it. That's a great idea.
That's funny.
Yeah, so she gave me that creative aspect. She was always singing around the house, and I picked up on it. Loved like the whole creativity thing. I've been vlogging since I was like 8, 9 years old. Those videos are not on the internet.
Do you have them though?
No, I actually don't.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I wish I did. I was doing like vlog collabs and I was like 10 with like random vloggers and stuff, recording on my little Radio Shack phone, like
That's funny.
pixelated. Yeah, so I did that. And then the whole time I was doing baseball, it was like, I've never been super great at one thing, but I've always been like above average at everything. Like I've never been like in the weirdest way, like not in a cocky way. Like I'm not super good at one thing, but I can kind of hang in like a lot of things.
That's awesome
So
though.
I was editing videos since a young age, graphics. I got hurt in baseball, and that really, really ramped up my creativity. I had to miss a whole summer baseball season, so that was just laptop up, learn graphics. Um, did that, and then yeah, doing music. Just I came down to Florida instead of choosing to go to college in Massachusetts and play baseball. I chose to come down to Florida because in Florida that's where my girlfriend was. She actually moved. We were both living in Connecticut. She moved to Florida. We did distance for a little bit. I followed her down. The college thing happened for one semester. I ended up dropping that because I just knew I wasn't in the right environment. Left that, and then I found the studio, and then the first ever song I professionally recorded was Weapons, and I was like, yo, this is sick. I was like, I love the way it feels to like hear my own music. I've never
Did you make music though, like in high school?
in high school, I made a couple scratch songs. So I used like a USB microphone and I used my closet as the studio.
That's awesome.
And it was super like amateur and beginner, but it was how I kind of played around with my sound a little bit. And then once I got to Florida, I was like, all right, I want to really make like real tracks. So went to the studio, and that's how that started.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because I mean, the one that you go to is in Orlando, right?
Yeah, I go to a couple of them in Orlando. Shout out to Studio 18, and then shout out to East Room. They're both super dope.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you recorded Weapons, and obviously that one. I mean, that song took off. I mean, like the thing about like CJ is, he's being super super humble, but like he has a lot of downloads, and like if you've ever put anything on social media or put out a song, like you're praying to get some views and some listens. But I'm gonna make you not be humble and talk about your numbers a little bit.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so Spotify is definitely where most people listen. I have like 700,000 streams on Spotify. Go
Cool.
Hard, thank you. Go Hard just hit 400,000. That's one of my songs. That's my most popular. And the one we were talking about, Weapons, has like 200,000 or something like that. Then I have a few other songs that didn't get quite as big, but Eternal Life has like few thousand right now, has like 40K. And it was just through connecting and leveraging community. Gary V was one of my biggest inspirations ever in my whole life.
Yeah, no, same over here. He's amazing. Yep.
And there's certain things that I can't replicate that he does, and I'm super self-aware, but I take what he gives that works for my life and I do it. So
right.
It's not about just replicating, it's about implementing. So that's what I do.
Right. And it's the consistency too, CJ, like I mean it's been like what, like a year? Is that what you said? That you started
about a year. I'll call it a year and a half roughly.
Right. So I mean, your first song having a few 100,000, I mean, you were talking about Go Hard has 400,000. Like that's a lot. Like that's most people can't imagine that at all. Yeah, so it blows my mind how well you're doing on that end. But CJ is extremely consistent, and he does do a very good job, like he said, of just connecting with people, and just it's all about just not being afraid to reach out to people and connecting and actually answering people back. Like that stuff goes a long way.
Yeah, you never know who you're talking to, and I always say this, but my real ROI is the people. My ROI is not the money. I'm not looking to get rich off of via CJ, although maybe that will happen one day, maybe it won't. But my main focus is like I want to get those messages that say, hey dude, you inspired me to like rap and do, or, you know, you inspired me to do something, or, you know, you helped me during my time of depression, or that's the real return on the whole investment of making music and all the effort. That's all I want. And then the money is really just the byproduct
Right.
of helping, you know what I mean? And I'm not one of those artists who's like, I want to do music so much that I have to quit my job because I hate my job. Like, nah, I actually love my job and music equally. So I'm super blessed. And now the only thing in my whole life holding me back is my health. If my health was on point, I feel like I would have it all right now.
Oh,
But
100%. I mean, 100%, because like, and I know that the impacts of that for you would be incredible too, CJ. It's like,
oh yeah,
you know, when you increase that, like you're able to have more clarity, you have more creative thoughts, you have more confidence, and all of that plays into obviously whatever you put out creatively in music. Not to mention when you eat more nutrient dense foods, like your body has a higher vibration. And I love talking about that because there is research that backs it up, like on a cellular level. Like it's not just like hippie nonsense I'm throwing out, even though, you know, I'm not against any hippie nonsense. I love all of that.
I love it too.
Yeah, no, but it really does affect all of that and makes you a better person. So there's only positive things that will come from you doing that. Yeah, so I can't wait to see what you produce as you continue to progress with your health.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This whole conversation has given me new energy, but I'm definitely on my way. I have so much faith that just faith based. Like I don't stress because I just trust the whole universe. And you know, maybe it's not ready. Like maybe I do need 3 more months before whatever. Like all I'm saying is I'm not gonna wait anymore, and I'm not here to like let things happen. I'm just gonna make them happen.
Yep.
And you know, it's really just a matter of like I'm definitely not stressing it, but I definitely yeah, that's another thing too. When you beat yourself up, like it makes it worse.
Yep.
Makes it way worse. So I don't want to beat myself up or anyone out there to beat themselves up because what's the point?
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, CJ, I want to talk for a second about how you're doing right now, because we were talking about it before we started, and I think it's important that you share where you're at in your journey, because I think, well, I know that it would really help people that's maybe listening on the same journey as well, like what you're doing, how you're progressing, and like changes that you're noticing.
Yeah, so I've been eating vegan 11 like office hours, so every day I don't eat breakfast. I usually intermittent fast every day. Um so I got my cadence with that, so that's not really a struggle for me. I definitely still battle with like after hours, like late night eating and stuff like that. I have to, you know, do way better with that. But from the vegan lunches every single day, I feel super energized during the day. And I feel a huge contrast in my body from when I'm eating what I'm supposed to be. But then when I eat what I'm not supposed to be, I feel it way more now that I have my daytime nutrition figured out. So now figuring out my nighttime nutrition is that last step, and then just being consistent. I'm kind of approaching it in steps, but I definitely have more clarity. There's more contrast in the way I feel between if I'm eating the right thing or not. And as far as like where I'm at and like overall progress, I'm pretty much still where like I'm not wanting to be. Like I'm 270 right now, and I'm not really in shape per se. I've worked out a lot of my whole life, so I definitely have a great frame underneath a lot of fat, and it's just a matter of like losing the fat and keeping my strength by just continuing to hit the weights and being consistent. Consistency is my biggest problem. You know, 30 days I'll do great, you know, and then 31 days I won't, and I'm still in that cycle. So that my next step is breaking the cycle.
100%. No, I love it. And you know, I mean, it's all about progress and not perfection. And I love that you are just taking those steps every day. Like you said, like you're doing that during office hours. And because you're doing that, you notice how you feel when you're not doing that. And most people they don't ever get that like contrast, which I think you need to, because then you really know what like healthy feels like. And you don't want to eat that because it makes you feel like crap, and you don't want to feel like crap. You want to have a good time. So it's,
For sure.
yeah. So it's just like understanding what healthy feels like. And when you take those steps each day and it's just like, okay, I feel good eating this. I don't need to eat this anymore. And then maybe the next week you cut something else or you replace it with something else. Like it's just all of progress. And then before you know it, you're where you want to be and you're looking back saying, man, that was hard, but not as hard as I thought. You know what I mean?
So true.
Yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's going to get there and you're doing it the right way. I'm excited. And I love how you're, the honesty with the story because, people listening that aren't there where they want to be yet, can, that gives people hope. And it makes them realize like, okay, I can take these steps. Maybe I don't eat animal products through the day and then slowly ease my way in. Because not everybody has to go jump all in at once. There's different ways. Like there's no right way. So, I love it. No, I love everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, my biggest thing right now is environment. I'm super positive, and I think that, and that's exactly who I'm talking to in this podcast. And thank you for bringing light to that. Being on this podcast, I just want to talk to the people who are struggling because you usually have people who are great role models of where they need to be. But I'm just here to relate and I'm here to tell my story and share a great, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever this is. But and with the hopes that anybody out there who's similar to me and just wants to get after it, just to not beat themselves up, seeing people who are can get pretty, because usually people have one or the other reaction. One is a spiteful reaction to seeing someone that is a role model. They'd be like, oh, whatever. Like they'll hate on them because they're upset. And then there's the other half who get inspired. Right. And I'm in that demographic who gets inspired, but just want to talk to anybody who kind of, doesn't get inspired off that. It's like finding what inspires you. Like, and for me, there's a lot of deep-seated things. I would say deep-seated or deep-rooted, but deep-rooted things that,
could be either way.
Yeah. I'm a big vocab, like questioner guy, like which one, but there's a lot of deep-seated problems that I go through on an emotional basis that are subconscious. And, I'm trying to figure that out as well. I'm a firm believer that the subconscious is like the real controller of our brain.
Yep.
So, but you already know, and the back problems from being overweight are also like there's so much byproduct of it's not just the look,
right.
Being
it's functional. It's
functional,
it makes it a lot more difficult to work out, but just, the more you move, right, just increases it. And then, and obviously go see a chiropractor, right? I have to endorse that, obviously.
Yeah. I've been a chiropractor a couple of times up north in Connecticut, but since I came down, I haven't. So you already know Dr. Casey's about to do it. If I opt in, she's the number one option.
When you come to Orlando, I have you.
Appreciate it. You got the
portable. I got the portable table. Absolutely. And I have to give you a quick shout out, CJ. So if you guys follow me on Instagram or Facebook, most of my promo videos, there's a little snippet of music at the end, and almost all of them is CJ's Go Hard song. So you make it on most of my promo videos. So I have to give you a shout out for those. So
yeah, I'm super proud.
Yeah. But awesome, CJ. Yeah. So I want to, I just want to hear also what you're working on in the future. I know you have some new music coming out, but just anything you want to put out and share that you are currently working on.
Yeah, I'm dropping a song. If today's Sunday, we're recording this on a Sunday.
Today is yep.
And I'm dropping a song this Friday.
What's the actual date?
The date is today's Sunday the 20th, so 26th, I believe. Friday should be the 26th.
But whenever this episode comes out, your song's gonna already be out, so you're gonna have to just go download it if you're listening.
Oh yeah,
right
Friday's
now.
the 25th.
Cool. Awesome.
So yeah, go listen to Lately. I dropped it.
It dropped it. We're in the future. No.
Yeah, we're time traveling. We're losing weight. We're making music. We're doing it.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's coming out, and then just continual New music coming out soon?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep dropping new music, get consistent. I'm gonna get more music videos out. I have one out right now that's my girl filmed it and I edited. I'm trying to get some more music videos that are more awesome. And yeah, I'm just creating. I'm gonna get my vlog game going, and I'm definitely gonna document my health. And
Awesome.
yeah, and one thing I do want to end on is you know, I don't want to sound like a conspiracist or anything, but food and everything, another huge reason that I struggle with it is because it is a real addiction.
Yeah.
Um just like heroin, just like opioids, like just in that same category, there's ingredients in the food that, and I'm not gonna lie, like I have an addiction, and it's a real thing to solve. I'm working on it, and I'm aware of it, which is like a huge step for me. And yeah, I don't want to listen to these corporate companies that tell you go to Subway. It's like do heroin instead of crack. Like I'm not looking to fall into the trap anymore. So I'm super inspired from the podcast. I'm super just in a great place mentally. So, you know, there's only one way to tell is the progress, you know.
Yep. And I mean, yeah, just like you were saying there, I mean, our food has so many chemicals in that do have addictive properties, and you're definitely not the first person on the podcast to talk about how it is an addiction, because I mean, it is. I mean, it does affect your brain and your nerve function, and it does. A lot of these chemicals do have the same effects as drugs. So it's 100% true, CJ. And the awareness, though, it's all about the fact that you're aware of that, which is, I mean, super amazing. Yeah. So I love that. And yeah, but CJ, we've been talking about all your new music and everything. What is the best way for people to follow you on social media? You know, CJ does a great job of sharing his day to day and to sharing his new music and his nutrition. So you guys can really just keep up with his journey on Instagram. And I know he'd really appreciate the follow and also just the support of his journey. So give him a follow and shoot him a message. He'll answer back. And yeah, so what's the best way for people to follow you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can hit me on Instagram at via CJ at VIA no space CJ. Oh, actually, I'm wrong.
It's underscore. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's underscore.
shows how much I know.
That's okay. Yeah, so it's via underscore CJ, right?
Via underscore CJ. Yeah,
Perfect.
I had a little stumble on that.
That's okay.
But yeah, via underscore CJ, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is via CJ Music, and if you want to listen to my music, you can do that anywhere you normally listen. But I prefer you go to Spotify. Go to Spotify and check me out there too.
Cool, awesome. And then CJ, just a closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's been your biggest takeaway so far, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
If I had one piece of advice to give to the audience, it would just be to this is I need a second on this one.
No pressure.
If I had to give the audience one piece of advice, I would definitely tell them to not beat themselves up, and because that's the advice I would give myself. I'm giving myself that advice. So I don't want to beat myself up, and I don't think anyone else out there should about anything, because at the end of the day, we're all just people, and we all want the same thing. We all want love. We all want to grow. We all want to be better. You know, even the people who are bad, who seem bad, they just want love. They just want to grow. Everybody just wants the same thing. We're all people, and I'm just, yeah, I'm super grateful. So gratefulness and not beating myself up is my advice to myself and others.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, CJ. And hey, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I loved having you. I know this conversation is going to help so many people. So CJ, just thank you so much for taking time to come on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with CJ. He's doing so much positive work, so be sure to give him a follow on social media to keep up with everything that he's been working on. You can find his social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of CJ's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with CJ, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to check out patreon.com/Dr. Casey Johnson to learn how you can support the Unlock Wellness podcast. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.